Alright, what's up swindlers and lists named after Schindler? Welcome back to the Sammy Whammy YouTube channel. This video I'm going to be doing something pretty new to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a new game that came out, and judging from the title and the gameplay, today I'm going to be talking about High on Life. High on Life is the brand new FPS game released by Squanch Games, which is the game company owned by Justin Roiland, aka the Rick and Morty guy, both in the fact that he made the series and he also voices the two main characters in the series. And in the past, Squanch have released a bunch of other goofy weirdo games like Accounting and Trover Saves the Universe. And just like those games, High on Life is just filled with all the weird Justin Roiland humor. We're talking the obnoxious stuttering voice lines, the ridiculous references, and its assortment of jokes ranges on a massive spectrum, all the way from the type of stuff a 5-year-old would come up with and laugh at, all the way over to existentialism, nihilism, and ridiculously, unnecessarily overcomplicated jokes. So yeah, I'm gonna get into this game, talk about it, do a bunch of other memes like that, and hopefully you enjoy. Plus, I just want to tell you I'm no real reviewer or video essayist. I just talk about stuff over very simplistic gameplay, zero editing. Hope you're fine with that. But anyway, hope you enjoy, have a fun time, like, subscribe, do all that generic shit. And anyway, video time. Oh yeah, real quick, I haven't played through the entirety of the game by myself, but I've seen pretty much most of the game because I watched some dude stream it on Discord. I know, I'm weird, but yeah. So basically, you're just some weird high schooler who's obsessed with horror movies and video games and your parents absolutely hate you. And speaking of your parents, they went on a trip or whatever for like a week. So then they put your weird older sister Lizzie in charge of you. Yeah, it's weird. But basically, a whole bunch of memes happen, and then we find out that the aliens are invading the Earth. Big ass thing crashes into the neighborhood, leaves a gigantic crater everywhere. You hear a bunch of screaming on one of the dead alien bodies, and then that's where you find the gun that's being used in the gameplay right now. His name's Kenny, and he's this weird gun. I think his species are actually called like Gatlians, which is kind of funny, but basically what Kenny does, you pick him up or whatever, he spits on you, which is like this translation juice or whatever, and then he's like, take this metal thing off me, and then you do it, and then he starts speaking to you in total English and all that meme. And then he's like, the Earth is doomed, you gotta come with me, become a bounty hunter or whatever, and then help me beat these guys. So you go to this alien place, and then now you're running around and stuff, which is what I'm doing right now in the gameplay. But basically what Kenny wants you to do is to stop this giant drug trafficking alien group called the G3 Grunts. And the reason this is a problem for you is because they actually, like, humans are a drug to them. I mean like an actual drug, like they smoke you and stuff and they can get high off of you. That's why the game is called High on Life. And it's also called High on Life because it's a comedy game and the jokes are supposed to make you happy and stuff. Double entendres, I love that. But yeah, basically you have to stop the G3 Grunts from taking over the entire Earth or whatever. So yeah, that's basically the premise of the game. But yeah, the reason that you get teleported over to this alien city is because Kenny, like, teleports your entire house. Like, your just house appears in the city. It's so weird. But yeah, the city is called Blim City, and it's basically the metropolis, Coruscant, New York City of the galaxy. All the aliens go here. And Kenny wants you to find this guy called Gene, who's this super famous bounty hunter. We see Gene lying down on the bench, and then we get up and start talking to him, and we find out that he's crippled, and one of his 3 eyes is missing, and he was also recently evicted from his house. But after seeing our fancy Earth suburbanite house spawn into the middle of the city, he was like, yo, I can give you all my bounty hunter gear if you can let me live in there. And we were like, sure. So he gives us his suit, which is this ultimate Spider-Man suit or whatever. Iron Man type beat, just some overpowered thing that has the, you know, it's the excuse for all the HUD and interfaces and all that garbage. But now I'm just going to try to speedrun through the rest of the story. The suit's late or whatever. He forgot to renew it at the pawn shop or whatever. So we go over there. The reason that when the suit isn't renewed, it comes up with a bunch of pop-up ads and ants are crawling all over the screen and stuff. So we have to go over there, get it renewed. Once we get it renewed, we start going off into the city. We go off collecting bounties and a whole bunch of other memes. Now, one thing that we're doing first is that this is what this mission right now is doing. We're trying to find this, like, bloodthirsty knife or whatever. It's in the middle of this super fancy drug deal or whatever. It's this Australian bloodthirsty, absolutely devious knife, and his name's Knifey, and once we get a hold of him, his Crocodile Dundee Max Mofo ass starts fucking killing everyone. But we kill them for him. He's just screaming and laughing like a maniac whenever we do it. But yeah, throughout the game, we collect a bunch of weapons that can all talk and have their own unique personalities and way too many voice lines. And then speed running through the end of the story, you basically just defeat the drug trafficking organization, save humanity, and then you're fine. But yeah, the goal of the game is to kill the leader of the entire organization, this giant Pablo Escobar guy named like Gargantuous or something like that. Garmantuous, that's his name. Oh yeah, this is the part where you get the knife, the really bloodthirsty Australian crocodile Dundee knife.
Let's kill some fuckers.
So yeah, I'm gonna talk about the actual game now, not just the story. Oh, there he is, I got knifey. But anyway, it's clear that Squanch Games, any game made by Squanch Games, is meant to be comedy first and then a game secondary. But yeah, it's honestly pretty dope to see that they are actually trying to do a lot better in the actual gameplay department throughout their games, because most of them are just... Pretty much all Squanch Games did, like a few years ago, was just a bunch of like VR walkthrough games. It was just you walking through a comedy sketch or something, doing like very basic VR things like pulling stuff, picking stuff up. That's basically it. But in this game, you're just running around playing stuff. I like to think of it as the Borderlands. It's kind of like Borderlands. It has similar gameplay to Borderlands in the fact that you're just running around shooting stuff and it doesn't take too much effort to kill most stuff. And also because it's a really funny game with pretty damn good gameplay. It's a lot of fun. As for the humor, it's of course your classic Justin Roiland humor, just goofy stuff. I mentioned his humor earlier on in the video. Probably the biggest gripe that a lot of people have with this game, that I'll discuss my opinions on in a second, is the ginormous amounts of dialogue. Absolutely huge, humongous, ginormous amounts of dialogue, dude. All these characters do is talk, man. They talk so much, it makes me want to stutter when I talk about it. But yeah, this is a ginormous, like, gripe that a lot of people have with the game. It's kind of hard to play a game when all these people are just talking, and they won't stop. It almost sounds as if all the voice actors just got into a voice studio and then the person at the booth just said, just talk, just say a bunch of voice lines you think your character would say for like 10 minutes straight, and then we'll just put them all into the game. And it is, I'm gonna be honest, a pretty big refresher from all the games that use the same like 3 pieces of dialogue all the time. These characters actually talk to each other. If you're wielding 2 weapons at once, like they talk to each other and stuff. When you pause the game, even when you pause the game, like... Like, if you pause the game when you're carrying Kenny, Kenny will scream and he'll be like, you think pausing the game's gonna help? What a fucking idiot you are. And I'm like, dude, come on, man. I'm genuinely curious as to how much space is covered up by the audio. I know nothing how storage space works, but it'd still be very interested. Like, 10% of the game is just the audio. But as for, like, whether I actually like it or not, I'm pretty indifferent about it. Sometimes it is really funny and I like how they talk a lot, but sometimes you just talk a little too much. I was kind of debating on whether I should do this video or not, because all it is talking, and I feel like that could distract from me talking, but I think it's fine. You're just staring at the closed captions anyway, probably. But yeah, it does get kind of annoying, especially if you're holding anything voiced by Justin Roiland. Any character that's voiced by him, he does his trademark stutter on every single line. Like, why can't he just voice them normally, dude? No, whenever I voice a character, I've got to stutter like this, and it'll make the game funny. It's funnier when I stutter. I mean, it's funny when you do it a little bit, but it just gets annoying when there's like 10,000 voice lines for the same character, and every single one of them has him stuttering and stuff, and it's all goofed up and stuff. But one other thing is that they've got some great voice actors in this game. Very great voice actors. Wide range of people. They all sound different. Every gun has its own personality and distinctive voice. Even some side characters that you only see once have their own unique voice and stuff. It's honestly pretty creative. And it's really nice. And I'm going to be honest, even if it does get a little annoying at times, I think all the varied dialogue and varied personalities is really awesome, and it's something you don't see too much in games nowadays. For example, my favorite game of all time, Fallout New Vegas, they utilized the same voice actor to voice like 6 different NPCs. It's funny, because you can hear one NPC and you're like, oh yeah, you sound like that guy. But it does get a little weird after a while, just... You become so desensitized to hearing the same guy over and over again. And I'm not saying you don't get desensitized to voice lines in this game. Like, obviously, if you're using the same gun for a long time and listening to all 10,000 voice lines that it has, it will, like, all the funny things that it's saying will just eventually turn into background noise, and you're just like, oh yeah, there goes the gun talking again. Then, from my own experience, you just forget that the guns are talking. It's just, you're just playing the game. As for the actual game, like the gameplay is pretty fun. It's really cool. Again, it's very similar to Borderlands gameplay, just run and gun. You just go around shooting everything you see. You can shoot anything you see. You can talk to the NPCs if you want. You don't have to. It's whatever. But it is a lot of fun, and just like you saw there, it's very similar to Borderlands, and when a big character or something shows up, like a boss character, it'll do some still frame with their name. For those of you who don't know Borderlands, you're probably like, what's this dude talking about? Like, trust me, if you play Borderlands, you're very well aware of the character's stills whenever someone gets introduced. It's really cool. And I'm honestly, like, I would be surprised if they didn't take a lot from those games, so whatever. I also think it's pretty dope how you can customize the guns. I think they're called, like, organ attachments and stuff, and you just add them to the guy or whatever, and the gun will be improved and stuff. It's pretty cool. And I also really like how when you aim down the gun's antenna will go into, like, the shape of a sight. It's really cool. Again. And then one last thing I want to talk about the game is how well a lot of the sets were made for this. Like, it looks so beautiful. They did an excellent job with color and lighting and stuff, but again, that's your typical Squanch Games video game. And then, as with literally everything Justin Roiland's ever done, the world building and design of a lot of buildings, characters, and vehicles is super creative and something you don't see too often, or at least it's just something that just looks super cool and you have a great time looking at it. The shadows are nice, and I don't know, it's a game that is honestly a lot of fun, even though it's not Elden Ring or whatever, but it's a great game. Cool experience, cool fun. Recommend you play this when you're bored. This is the perfect stoners game too, and I may or may not have been stoned while playing it myself. But yeah, overall, this game's pretty fun. It's super entertaining. It's a good way to get a fun laugh in. It's a great game to play while you're bored because you're just being overridden by a bunch of stuff. I don't have ADHD, but I can tell this game definitely appeals to a lot of people with ADHD because of how colorful and noisy and packed with dialogue it is, but I know this game gets a lot of flack by a lot of people, but personally I don't think it deserves it. It's clearly a game just meant to have fun with. It's just like literally every other Squanch Games video game. It's just a video game adaptation of your typical Justin Roiland sketch, creative, fun, weird stuff going on all the time, and he tries to make everything creative and have its own little stint of creativity and uniqueness to it, and this game's no different. So in the end, I'm thinking a solid 7 or so on the IGN scale. That's how the IGN scale is, right? Like 0.1 to 10 or whatever. I'm thinking it's a solid 6.9. Funny number, and it's an above average game, but it isn't anything crazy. Again, it's not Elden Ring, or that's the only game I can think of that's been good in the past year or so. But yeah, it's no Elden Ring, but it sure is a lot of fun, and it's a good play. Anyway, this is the video. I keep rambling and repeating myself, but yeah, hope you enjoyed it, whatever. This has been Sammy Whammy. Peace.